Hey guys, today I'm going to walk you through the actual assignment for 1.05, what's expected. Not the lesson, but just the assignment and the instructions for it. So click on 1.05. So in 1.05, we're going to take a look at the info for supply and demand. Now, the supply and demand information is going to be found in 1.03 and 1.04. So you got to make sure that you go through 1.03 and 1.04 first before you do 1.05, because they're going to ask you for things like tribe and rotten, and you're going to have no idea what tribe and rotten mean unless you went through 103, 104. So again, you got to go through 103, 104. All right, so in the market price for 105 here, you're going to make a graph. You're going to find a news article, and we're going to talk about equilibrium pricing and what would cause either supply or demand to shift. So a lot going on here in this assignment here. So you're going to create a graph. You're going to analyze what the equilibrium price is for that item, and then you're going to explain what might cause supply and demand to shift in the real world. So if you go through this lesson here, you have different videos that will help you understand what the equilibrium price is. Again, that's just the intersection of the downward sloping demand line and the upward sloping supply line represents the equilibrium point. And at that equilibrium point, that is the price for the actual item. But we'll do that in class here. What you're going to have to do is find an actual news article. Maybe it's something for the price of cars, maybe it's the price of gas, or the price of appliances, or the price of college, the price of food, any of those things. You can easily find changes in price of items in the newspaper. You'll have to draw out a supply and demand graph, and it will ask you to make certain shifts of those supply and demand graphs. This is an example of that supply and demand graph, and you'll have those other types of examples from 103 and 104 here. They'll ask you to tell you what the equilibrium price is. So, we can see here when demand and supply intersect, the equilibrium price was $400, but as demand increases, as demand shifts to the right, that's an increase. As demand increases, you'll see that the new equilibrium price has risen to roughly $550. You'll have to explain, why would that increase of prices occur? Why did demand increase? Maybe people had more income. Maybe there's an increase of number of buyers. Maybe the price of a substitute or price of complement change, whatever it is. All right. But we can move on from there to the last page. And on this last page, it actually gives us the directions. So what we'll need to do for this assignment, you have to find an event that deals with prices in the newspaper. So you can go on to Google, you can look up any major news source. It has to be a reputable news source. So you could look at the Orlando Sentinel if you wanted to. You could look at the BBC. You could look at The Economist, different magazines. Any major news source out there, you can type in and find something. If you want to type into Google and talk about randomly just prices of inflation for different items, it'll tell you there. You're going to have to draw out a graph. The easiest thing you're going to want to do is just draw it on your own paper. It's going to be real easy to draw it on paper. I find it difficult to draw it out on like a Microsoft Word. If you needed to, you could. If you're good with Microsoft Word, you could draw it on that. But it's easy just to draw it on a sheet of paper and take a picture of it, and then embed that picture into your into your Microsoft Word document that you're going to submit to FLVS. After you've drawn out the graph, you're going to add a shift. You're going to show like what is your news article saying? Is there saying that the demand for these things are going up? Is the demand going down? Is supply going up? If you find an article about supply chains and the pandemic, you can say, well, there's a supply chain shortage, or there's a shortage of workers, so supply is decreased. And if that's the case, you'd show a leftward shift of supply, causing prices to go up. So you have to draw out the graph, then you have to draw your shift, whatever your article is showing or stating, and then you have to explain when that shift occurs, what's going to happen. What happens to prices, the equilibrium price, what happens to equilibrium quantity, and explain why this is happening. You must include the one element of either tribe or rotten. And remember, tribe and rotten, tribe is in 1.03 and rotten was in 1.04. If you wanted to see what a finished example might look like, and click down here, it says a market for mail delivery. You can see that there's a decrease in the supply line, a leftward shift, which causes the prices to increase and the quantity to decrease. They have their article here. They have their source, and you want to make sure that you put your source, and you just copy and paste the source. You got the actual link and then the title of it, and then explain what happened about how there is a slowdown by 30% because of less postal workers here, so decrease in supply. But that's it. So you got your news article, you got your graph, you got your shift, and you have your explanation here, and making sure that you include your rotten or tribe. For this one is the R in rotten for the resource costs of the situation causing that decrease in supply. So if you do those steps, you should be able to get sufficient credit for your work. If you're wondering about the rubric, you can click on here. It's 100 points for the total assignment. First 40 is for the content, second 40 is for the quality, and then the last 20 is the presentation skills. So there it is. All right, hope that helps, guys. And if you have any questions after reading the lesson, reading the directions, and watching this video, if you still need help beyond that, come see one of your instructors and we can help you out one-on-one. All right, take care.